Ladies and gentlemen, Moogles and Chocobos, heroes of light of every persuasion, welcome to the Technophilia podcast. I have usurped the hosting duties from James. He's not here, so I'm in charge. You may know me from the podcast here. My name is Robert Wiesahan. Today I'm joined by Dave LeClaire. Dave, what's up?
Yo, Mr. Robbie. You better not let me down, better not let James down, or he's going to cry hysterically, and you don't want to see James cry.
That's true. This just turned into a hot hip-hop collaboration when you started with Yo-Yo. I'm just waiting for you to drop a beat for me.
The proper terminology is collabo. This is a collabo.
Sorry, I was too verbose.
You, me, and John Cena. We're about to do it up big.
You two could not be less hip-hop if you tried.
You guys may not know this, but I was in a rap group for like 2 years when I was younger, so...
We're going to have to get a sample of that at some point. We really are. Once again, joining us is... I didn't ask how to pronounce your name again.
It's
Rachel.
like laser.
Kaiser, like laser.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
That's the only way I remember it.
The coolest and easiest, memory device for a video game podcast. I love it. Rachel, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I mean, technically, since I'm the interloper, I'm filling in for James in this instance, but I can't do his British accent, so...
That's true.
I could try, but, I don't think we should subject our viewers to that.
We briefly dared you to do a British accent, but I didn't feel like you were on board.
If you really want to be like James, just hate everything, and you'll be good to go. So.
And love VR.
Yes.
VR, okay.
Hate everything except for virtual reality. Mario,
Why do I get the
piece
feeling
of
he's
shit.
watching right now?
No, he's moving, so I imagine he's busy. He's, lifting... he's watching the people he probably paid to lift the heavy boxes. Watching them lift the heavy boxes, make sure they don't break his 7 Oculus headsets. And
He's got the podcast on his phone or something like that.
He's just sitting there shaking his head like, you jerks, here we go.
I know
This
for
is
episodes I've missed, I did not listen to, so I would assume James is no different, but you never know. Maybe he really, really cares.
Right. Life and video games go on. As they do this week, James, Dave, I assume the videos are queued in the order that we've written things generally?
I don't have any videos queued, so no.
Yes! Okay, well...
You say what you want to talk about, and I will quickly type it in and queue it.
Well, let's, in that case, go ahead and do first game, second game for the order.
How fancy.
We really should have talked this out beforehand.
Nope, that is dumb. That would be stupid and boring.
Hey, look, no, you know what? The important part is that we have an order where we talk about video games like the Final Fantasy 15 demo. So, released today, I actually went, I couldn't have gotten a midnight release for Final Fantasy Type 0 HD had Battlefield Hardline not been coming out. So thanks to the Gun Bros and foul-mouthed 13-year-olds that made that possible, I was able to walk into a GameStop at midnight and get Final Fantasy Type 0, which comes with a demo voucher for Final Fantasy 15. And let me tell you, if the goal of a demo is to make me forgive Square Enix and trust them again with the Final Fantasy franchise, that's what that demo has done. I actually just came over from my own stream where I was playing a little bit of them online and talking about it with people. Final Fantasy 15, it's going to be okay, you guys. If you have lost the ability to love on the basis of the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, Final Fantasy 15 will teach you to love again. It is a full-on action RPG. Final Fantasy 13 had action elements to the instanced combat where you went into a little combat arena for every fight. This is full-on roaming around the world, engaging things at whatever distance you see them, warping in, starting beating dudes up with your swords. And it just feels right. It's responsive. You feel like you have the tools to do what you want to do, and you feel like you're capable of executing what you need to do to solve problems in combat. It's a big, sprawling, open world experience. The feel I've kind of pieced out from it is it's a combination of 50s rockabilly Americana, and then in other places decadent near future Rome. So that stuff mashed together, countryside versus city, is kind of the feel of the world. But it's much more something you can identify with. Oh, look, there's my stream. Yay! It's much more something you can identify with than the world of Final Fantasy 13 that was so far-flung from reality that it was tough to identify with anything that was going on there. It was all about, using deities as power plants and things like that. Like they had like hooked deities up to cables and used them to power their floating city, and it was just so far gone that it was hard to identify with the characters. But yeah, if this is any indication of what the broader Final Fantasy 15 is going to be, it's coming along really nicely. The voice acting is kind of middle to above average, I would say, relative to other things you see coming out of Japan. You'll definitely recognize a lot of voices from anime, the kinds of people who have been working this industry for between games and anime for quite a while. But yeah, that game is really good. The combat is really action-packed. There's countering, there's dodging, there's warping in and out of combat. It sells it real well, and it has a lot of warm character to it. That it, these people feel like people you could get to know and hang out with, and they joke with one another. And it's a nice change of pace from the dead serious march toward the apocalypse that Final Fantasy 13 was. So you may not want to pick up Final Fantasy Type 0 fully on the basis of just getting this demo. But if you're going to pick up Type 0 anyway, I think you'll be reassured that the game is headed in the right direction. And next week I'll talk more about Final Fantasy Type 0 when I've played it a little more. I mostly just dug straight into the FF15 demo to cover that. So, any Final Fantasy fans between the two of you?
I like old Final Fantasy. Didn't like anything since like past 7. So.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't really know a whole lot. I know about from what I've seen on the internet, but I haven't played any of the games to completion. But maybe that's a good thing, because I was encouraged to try Final Fantasy 13 when it first came out, and I declined.
Oh yeah, it's a good one to miss. You can miss 13 without doing much damage. Man, at some point I feel like we'll need to introduce you to the franchise, find you a good starting point. It has been 15 games and numerous side stories long.
I own some of the games, just
okay.
They're time sync, so I've been told. So I have to find a good point at which I can start one and just get really into it, because I feel like that's something I owe the series.
Yeah, it's definitely a big time investment.
But say I'm still new to the series by the time Final Fantasy 15 comes out. Based on what you saw in the demo, does this look like a good starting point?
Do you like action games?
Yes.
Okay. Because this is the thing about this is not only does it feel like a solid starting point as just being an enjoyable game, but it's going to be a very different experience than past Final Fantasies, which were more either turn-based or little instance battles that kind of worked on like an active clock where turns were queuing up based on character speed. So this is much more an in-the-moment experience where you're making decisions very snap on the fly, rather than being like, which spell from this complicated list of 24 things do I want to cast for the most impact? So it's a much more live in the moment Final Fantasy experience, and it's very strong. I would say also for people who were past Final Fantasy fans, don't be afraid of this game on the basis of it being an action game, because the difficulty is such that it's not that you're punished if you do poorly; it's that you're rewarded with extra experience and faster character progression if you battle efficiently. So it rewards raising your skill, but it doesn't penalize people who are maybe not as comfortable with that stuff.
God, these characters look ridiculous.
Yeah, they've got a little problem with a little bit too much all black wardrobe.
They're so like early 2000s emo going on here. It's like
even I know you don't hold Final Fantasy characters' wardrobes against them.
Yeah, but it is just like next level.
If you did, you'd never relax.
It is next level like emo. Look at this guy. He's he's emo and he's got a mullet. I mean, come on.
It's like biker emo rockabilly. The blonde guy Prompto looks like he stepped straight out of Green Day. Like he's got the spiked up hair and like a flannel shirt tied like a kilt around his waist. It's nuts. It's weird. But enough about that. Let's go on to an indie platformer, right? Ori and the Blind Forest, Rachel?
Yep, that's what I've been playing. So
how is it? So what is it? All I've seen is some pretty screenshots, but I know virtually nothing about the game itself.
Well, it's a sort of 2D platformer, which means you're not really given a whole lot of story up front. You have to kind of surmise what's going on based on sort of like subtitled, babbled, non-English. I think that's gibberish. I'm pretty sure that's gibberish. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's no language I recognize. But from what I've seen, it's about this tiny little forest sprite reviving a forest that has died under some mysterious circumstances, and that's without spoiling a whole lot. But I don't know why it's called the blind forest, quite frankly, because it's not blind, it's dead, it's burnt out. But it is a puzzle platformer, and it's very pretty. I mean, that's one thing you can say about it. But it's very, as far as I would put it up there with Child of Light, if you've played Child of Light. So Child of Light was really pretty. And this game it has a really beautiful jewel tone art palette. It's fairly standard platforming. I mean, I kind of have a problem with the fact that when Ori runs across the screen, sometimes the screen doesn't follow. It's not centered, so Ori will be like in one far third of the screen when I'm running in that direction. That's a little bit of an annoyance. So it's not a perfect game, but it's quite fun. It's got some replayability.
That animation, we're looking at the video here, that animation looks super like lush and high frame rate.
Yeah, it's all hand-drawn, I believe.
It's very pretty. I could see this, like, you just pick any frame of this game, slap it on a poster, print it out, hang it on your wall, and it would look pretty damn good.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it is very pretty, and it's not quite as, I would say, washed out and pale as Child of Light was. I feel like Child of Light is the good point of comparison, but like all indie games, it's about childhood and parents, and what do these puzzle platformer games have with parenthood and childhood?
It hits the emotions for people. Everybody,
I suppose
most people have parents or children.
Well, I mean, I suspect some number of these indie developers are like parents working from home and making their game while they do that kind of stuff. It's also a symbol. It probably also is kind of a symbol of video games growing up that we're making games about parenthood and we're making games about reflections on what it is what it is to be a child, things like that.
I thought the game was called Ori and the Blind Florist for a second when I first heard about it like a week ago, and I was like, what the hell is this game about?
That sounds like a comedy game.
It's like this guy helping his friend like put together flower arrangements because he's I didn't even know what I pictured in my mind for that, but I kind of want to play that, the Blind Florist.
It's a whimsical match 3 puzzle game where you're making flower arrangements.
Energy-based match 3 puzzle game, obviously.
Yes. I think we just invented the next big iPhone hit.
Probably.
But generally, so the gameplay I saw just a moment ago, it looked like the big kind of hulking character was like building a bridge. What's the moment-to-moment gameplay like, Rachel?
Well, that character actually doesn't appear for the vast majority of the game. You play her at the beginning. I mean, I assume it's her because I think we're meant to infer that she's Ori's adoptive mother. But you don't actually build that bridge, you just walk up to it, and then there's a cutscene of them building the bridge together.
Wait, who's Ori? The big thing or the little thing?
The little tiny, like, light sprite.
The little light sprite. So the big gorilla thing is not Ori.
Yeah, I forget her name, but she found Ori in the forest and took care of it. I don't know if Ori's supposed to be in the blind. Well, it wasn't blind at the time. It's
is
only
she
blind.
The blind florist or no?
Maybe she is. I don't know, but she dies in the very
spoilers.
I spoil that with impunity. Well, if you leave the video on, you're gonna see it. In fact, it should be, with the Twitch delay, it should be playing right about now. But
she looks sad. She's
but
not doing a good job of putting together flower arrangements.
After she dies, Ori goes into the forest and essentially just gives up until he's revived. It is revived by the spirit of the forest, which is giving its last power to save it because the forest itself is dying. But it's up to Ori with his newly revived powers to revive the forest and save everything. It's very I want to say it sounds like it's too cute. It sounds like a sort of 90s environmentalist animated film, but it's actually not. It's actually a little bit more sophisticated than that. Although, take that with a tiny grain of salt, because it's still a story told with the told piecemeal. It's not you're not given huge amounts of, speaking of Final Fantasy, you're not given huge amounts of expositional dialogue.
The moment you said 90s environmentalist animation film, I was like, oh, she's talking about Fern Gully.
Oh, there were a few knockoffs, but yeah.
Good stuff. Are you really a human?
Onto something a little more technical. Dave has been playing the highly lauded, best-selling city simulator not made by Will Wright, City Skylines.
That's
So,
so last week, Dave.
so yes, James played a couple minutes last week and didn't really have too much to say about it. But he said enough that it made me want to buy it. So I went and bought it during the show. If you remember, I booted up Steam, bought the game live on the podcast, and I have played a lot of it. Probably 15, 16 hours maybe over the last week. 20 maybe.
Oh, nice.
I played a lot. I've gone through like 5 cities because you know how these things go. You do something. You're like, all right, now I'm gonna make this huge expansion and I'm gonna build a dam or whatever, and then your whole city goes to shit and you know something bad happens, you have to start over. So I'm on like my 5th city, in like the 80-ish thousand population. It's getting pretty big. And I love this game, so I'm just gonna echo what everybody else is saying about it. Is that it is super good. Some people were complaining about there's like some issues with the traffic or whatever, saying that they're saying it's like a bug, but I have found that if I haven't had that problem, so I don't know. What have you heard about this supposed bug, Rob?
Well, that there are times where you will build like a 6-lane highway, so three lanes going each direction, and that everyone, like, even though say maybe all 3 of the lanes going in one direction could go straight, everyone will stack up in the lane that does not have any turns for it, and so all the traffic backs up, even though people could technically get places faster. The company that made it made the Cities in Motion series, which was kind of a city-based traffic problem solver. So a lot of what I've been hearing from people who've gotten more deep into the game than me, my girlfriend actually gifted it to me shortly after the podcast, but I haven't dug into it yet. But what I'm hearing from a lot of people is that it is you can tell very transparently that these people were traffic simulator people first, because a lot of problem solving ends up being like interchange building. That people spend tons of time building these huge intersections and ways for highways to transfer to like, you know, side roads and things like that, and that they end up these huge convoluted twists of roads. But at the end of the day, that does end up being the most effective way to move people around the city without stop signs and intersections and stoplights and things like that. But how many, Dave? How many of these you get? If you don't mod it, you eventually get access to 9 2-kilometer by 2-kilometer city tiles. How many city tiles have you filled up with your city?
Well, I've purchased, I believe, 7, but they're not all full. But I have the ability to, and have purchased, I believe I'm at 7. So I'm like 2 steps away from being like the main, whatever, the big, you know, megalopolis or whatever they call it in this game, like the final.
Like the victory state, as it were?
I guess, yeah, where you've unlocked everything. I also did a city. I thought it would be fun to do with mods and do like put on unlimited money, like, and do unlock everything, but that wasn't fun. I got bored in like 10 minutes. I thought, I was like, I'm gonna can really meticulously like design and build like what I could call my perfect city. But I don't know, without the progression to push me forward, I just was like, this is boring, and I just stopped playing.
The limitations of cash flow also kind of provide like unnecessary opposition. You got to feel like something's fighting you almost.
Yeah, although I'm generating like something like $20,000 a week now, so like money, I have almost $2 million in the bank, so money's not really. It's almost like I have unlimited money anyway. At this point, I guess I could lower taxes and stuff and try to attract more people, but my population's growing at a fine enough rate anyway, so I don't know.
Now, I remember reading there's like wonders in the game where you can, if you build your city the right way, you can get something that like turns a negative mechanic off in your city. Have you experienced any of that?
I don't know. I didn't notice them turning anything negative off, but I did get some of the like there's one you get, like if your city is doing really poorly for money, you get like a special building that you can build, like a memorial to like your depression, basically. I don't remember. I don't remember it actually turning anything off though, but maybe there is. Maybe I haven't. Maybe you get those when you get to the levels past where I'm at. Because also, you know, I've still been playing Dota and hating my life, so that's
Oh, the Dota Chronicles. I get one thing that I'm always kind of like, city simulators. You know, you certainly sit down and you start playing them and you enjoy them. So there's definitely something to them. But every once in a while I stop and think to myself, like, what's the end game here other than just making it bigger. Like it's kind of
That is the end game, though.
yeah. That like city simulators often are just like a plate spinning simulator. It's like, well, how many plates can I keep spinning at once? How many districts can I keep running without this city crumbling into poverty?
Yeah, for me, it just comes down to like how did eventually you're gonna hit that point where you're like, okay, this city's really big, but as long as I feel like as long as you had enough fun during that
Time
time.
to conjure Godzilla.
Actually, they don't have that yet in this, right? There's still no disasters.
Yeah, that's in a future patch. But no, I remember good times in SimCity just being like, screw the city, push all the disaster buttons, drop like tornadoes and monsters and everything.
But yeah, I feel like I've more than gotten my fun out of the game. So like, when I hit that point where I'm like, all right, all there is left to do is keep making this bigger, whatever, then I've had my fun and I'm happy with what I've done. So.
Well, between its Metacritic of 89 and its user Metacritic of like 9.6, I think it has earned the public trust. I think there was a real big city builder vacuum that this filled, and just by being a competent, mechanically functional game, it really was just right place, right time. In addition to being solid.
And it's funny because I didn't even know I wanted a city builder. I didn't care that SimCity sucked, the last one, and I had like Cities XL, like I got in a Humble Bundle, didn't really care. So I didn't even know I wanted a city builder, but it turns out I did. I've been playing the crap out of it, so go figure. You
Very
don't know
cool,
what you
man.
want until you got it? Is that an expression?
That's quite true. Like you don't, like we base what we want in video games on what we've played before. But then every once in a while, something like like Journey. Like I wouldn't have known I wanted Journey, but it comes out in broadsides. It's like, wow, that's a really exciting experience. So, but very cool. Okay, so you're still building cities, and we'll have to check back in on that and see if you get to any of those wonders or any of those late game states later.
Faux show.
I also
During the podcast, in fact.
let me see. You're like, let me see what I can do. So just as the podcast was ending last week, Sid Meier's Starships came out, which is, as opposed to these more full-price things, Sid Meier's Starships is a $15 game that is a kind of companion game to Civ Beyond Earth. And if you keep in mind, so it's getting raked over the coals in the review scores and things like that. People are not giving it much leeway over there, but I think when you take into account that it's a $15 experience as opposed to a $60 experience, it's actually okay for what you're getting. It's very much a board game. Like it is a board game on a tablet interface. The first thing I said when I booted it up to stream it was, "Oh, this is a tablet game," because the interface immediately evokes those kind of big buttons the size of your fingertip and that kind of stuff. But it's kind of, how do I want to put this? It's like Star Trek plus a tactical. It's like Star Trek meets XCOM, but not quite as deep as you're probably hoping.
I was about to say, that sounded awesome.
I know, right? Like the in theory, it's great. Like you're going around, you're performing diplomatic missions for planets, and you're getting them to join your federation, and then eventually your borders bump up against other systems, and then you're fighting spaceships with each other in like little tactical things, and you can swing your ships behind planets to take cover, and then come out and cut loose your plasma cannons or whatever. And that's great, but it's not a super deep game. Like every spaceship has maybe 10 different stats or so, but those stats are very straightforward. It's like long-range damage, short-range damage, shields, armor, stealth if you have it, fighter bays if you have it, etc. Like it's very simple stuff. And so when you get into combat, the burden of combat excitement is very much placed on the tactical positioning part of it, as opposed to the kitting out your ship right. Like you don't have a ton of options for your ship to super customize it. And so instead, you're very much living in the moment of the combat rather than planning out the best possible ship and then just breaking faces as you go in there with this perfectly planned ship. But it's solid and it's fun. It provides a kind of Civ-like experience in about 3 hours, start to finish. So I think that's one of its strongest points, is that Civ takes a ton of time to play from start to finish. And so this provides kind of a similar experience of starting out small, getting more outposts, coming into conflict with other places, finding and pursuing your final victory condition in a much more compressed period of time. This game would have done way, way better for review scores if it were multiplayer. There is zero multiplayer support, and that's the big problem. Because for something that's as board gamey as this is, the inability to play it with other human beings and, not have to deal with the kind of lackluster AI that basically the higher you set the rating up, the more it just cheats. It gets bonuses you could never get and things like that. So the fact that you can't play with this with another human being, and have a civ experience that you could play with your friends in a single night of 3 to 4 hours sitting together is the biggest bummer. But if you don't mind that, and you would just be playing it single player anyway, for $15, you can get several 3-hour games out of it. And then they've done an interesting thing where if you have Beyond Earth and you make a My2K account, the games are tethered together, and playing each one unlocks new features in the other one. And there's some argument of, well, why don't you just, give me those bonuses for owning both games rather than make me jump through hoops to earn them. But it's some additional features, and they're there, so that's a thing. I'm kind of middle of the road on it, but if you want new stuff to do in Beyond Earth, that's one way to get it. And I know Beyond Earth kind of got some mixed reviews too, but there was recently an interview saying, we've heard your complaints about Beyond Earth, and we're kind of working on a Beyond Earth 2.0 patch that's going to be totally free and be more ambitious and be more, have more character than just Civ 5 in space. So I'm looking forward to it, and I thought Starships was pretty solid for the $15. If you're a little leery about it, maybe wait for a sale, get it down to $10 or $7.50 or something. But not bad, I would say. Better than the reviews have indicated, because I think people were expecting something along the lines of a $50 to $60 product, and then they paid $15, but still kept those same expectations. So
it's you put Sid Meier's name on it, and people's expectations go up.
Right. It's a failure of marketing, I think. Marty McFly in the chat was asking, Nintendo's developing a new next-generation console. What do you think of this news? I think they probably should do that, because the Wii U is not selling well.
That's on the list. You're spoiling it.
Talk about this later.
You're spoiling the news. Read the outline, host.
We really should plan this ahead of time.
It is planned. It's on the news.
I didn't look through all the news, but I have my Twitch set up to highlight when people type my name, so I was drawn to it.
Good job. Well, it was the main event. It's the last story on the list. It was what we were closing the show with.
How about we forget that I said anything and we go on to Rachel, who got a new 3DS XL. Speaking of Nintendo systems,
I did. Yeah, it's my shiny new, shiny sort of, my plain red little brick. But yeah, this is my thing. This is sort of where my time has gone during the last week. It's like some sort of dark magic. I just pick it up. Next thing you know, it's 2 hours later, and I've accomplished nothing except learning all the new moves and all the new fighters in Smash Bros.
Now, do you have because that has the NFC thing in it, right? So, did you buy any amiibos with it?
I did not. Actually, the problem is with this new 3DS, I haven't had a handheld since the Game Boy Advance SP. So
wow.
This was sort of an impulse purchase for me. It's not like with my PS4 where it was a gift from my parents. Just so I bought this on a whim because I saw that it was coming out and that the 3D on it was better. So I just sort of picked it up one day along with Fire Emblem Awakening and Smash Bros. Because this is an obligatory purchase.
Absolutely.
But I can't really say if this is better than the 3DS that was on the market. I guess I call it the old 3DS now. This is sort of a very bad naming because this is the new Nintendo 3DS XL.
Yeah, Nintendo's been bad at this naming thing for a while now.
The problem is it just has, all the things that I know are new features are things like it's got the ZR and ZL buttons on the top, which are hard to find through touch alone, which I never use. It has, with my Fire Emblem stuff here, it has this little C stick up here, which works, but kind of weirdly, and so I never use it, and it has amiibo support, which I never use, and it has better 3D, which, okay, I do use that. So how now? Bravo, Nintendo.
It tracks where your head is with the cameras now, right? So do you find you can just you can turn it any which way and it follows you just fine? Is there any lag to that?
No, there's not. There is some like if you turn it on and you turn it too fast, it does kind of like flicker a little bit, but it doesn't. It's not as bothersome as like turning the old one to the side, because I did pick up while I was buying it. I was playing with the old store model, which was the original 3DS, and you turn it to the side, and it's like, well, even just this much, and you might as well be looking at a matte painting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always had 3D off on my 3DS. I never liked it. Even if it worked well, I would still turn it off. But that's just me, because I'm a whiny little bitch.
The way I've started doing it is like I flick it on during certain scenes in game if I think something's about to be really impressive. But other than that, I keep it off the same way, just because it's it's a bigger battery drain. Like I want to be able to play my system longer and things like that. But yeah, with the new 3DS, I think it's one of those things where we're gonna have to wait till the exclusive games come out. It'll be interesting to see how they label those in the store to eliminate confusion, because they are going to have games that are exclusive to that new hardware. And
first one I know about is Xenoblade Chronicles X.
I think it's actually the only one right now, but there is features in like Majora's Mask and stuff, like with the C-Stick and stuff like that. In other games, there's stuff you get, but I believe, that's the only actual. Just, you can't buy it anywhere else.
Marty was asking in the chat, does Fire Emblem make you cry, Rachel? What difficulty are you playing Fire Emblem on? Are you playing it with like the hardcore characters die and they're gone forever?
No, not yet. I'm working up to that. Because I've never played a Fire Emblem game before, so I have to. I feel like I have, and I very rarely play turn-based real-time. I don't know why I'm picking this up. I don't know why I don't play turn-based strategy very often. So I feel like I have to work up to the point. No one's died on me yet. That's just a stroke of sheer luck, I think, because the people who would have died are people who have to stay alive, like Chrom and the main character.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the only reason I haven't I've managed to get this far is because they are the ones who would have died.
Gotcha.
Because if anybody else, they would have died and then stayed dead, as I understand it. Because I think I have permadeath on. I probably do, because I'm a masochist.
Is Fire Emblem the game with Marth?
Yes.
That's all I know about Fire Emblem, is that it has Marth.
Everything.
Do you know anything about the new Smash Bros, Dave?
Yeah. I have that. That's why I know Marth from other Smash Bros.
The game that I have, Fire Emblem Awakening, is the one with Robin and Lucina.
Oh, okay, they're from that too. All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So since I've been playing Fire Emblem Awakening on Smash, I'm playing a lot of Robin. So this is
We gotta play some Smash against each other. We gotta do friend codes or something so we can fight.
Do you guys have 3DSs?
I do. Rob?
I do, but I don't have Smash.
You're worthless to me.
Okay, we know what we're getting Rob for his birthday.
Let me show you guys my new handheld I got. This is called the Game & Watch, and it's Donkey Kong Jr. Just came out. It's like brand new, released in 1982, exclusive. So this is where the real handheld action is.
Is that an LCD screen, Dave?
Oh, this is top of the line stuff, man. Look at these buttons. They have the tactile feel on them. I mean, and it even has a little kickstand on the back so that you can like prop it up. I don't know why you'd want to do that. But because it's also a watch. See, it's so two functions. I move over. I watch, game, and watch.
So when you're in a line or something, when you're waiting, you don't bust out your phone. You don't play some microtransaction phone games. You bust out your Game & Watch.
How about Tiger Electronics Mega Man 3? You want to play some of that? Because we got that too over here. We do it big over here in Connecticut.
My goodness, Dave, it almost sounds like you're on some sort of retro kick, as though you might play something called New Retro Arcade on your retro kick.
So, have you guys ever heard...
Segway!
Have you guys ever... I assume James loves this new retro arcade thing.
We'll have to ask him.
It's mainly an Oculus thing, but you can do it without it, which is what I did. And it's basically... some dudes wanted to learn the Unreal Engine. And to do so, they made this thing where it's basically just like emulators in a giant room, and you walk up to the arcade machines instead of your normal type of deal where you would, you would just click it in your thing. So it's supposed to make it feel like you're walking around an arcade, and it kind of does. There's neon lights and crazy carpet going on, and You have to download the ROMs yourself because that's how they get around the the legalities. How pretty much every emulator person, they put the emulators out and then say, but you got to get your own ROMs. But they kind of point you where you need to go, and then you just
Yeah.
walk up to the machines and you can pick up a Game Boy, as you could see right now, and you could play Mario on Game Boy, and it looks like garbage, just like an actual original Game Boy would. And it's you can walk up to
Wow.
a Super Nintendo and change the cartridges and play the games. There's a boom box that you can carry around with you and tapes scattered around, and you put a tape in and it plays the song that's on the tape. It's super cool. You should definitely download it and just even if you don't download the ROMs for the actual arcade machines, just walking around the thing and just having fun playing with like this old stuff that you may or may not have nostalgia for is just super cool.
So other than the like hardcore nostalgia lobby that I'm seeing here, like, are you finding that old arcade games hold up? Are you?
Some of them. I mean, there's good stuff in there. Like Tetris is in there. There's like Arkanoid. What else is in there? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Oh, crap. Gradius is in there, I believe. There's like stupid. There's a bowling alley too, so you can go bowling if you want. I mean, some of those games are still fun. I mean, I
Oh,
went
you
when
can
I
throw darts. That's rad.
you could throw darts. Yep. When I went to MagFest in January, they have like basically this in real life. So there's just a giant arcade room with actual arcade machines, and a lot of those games are fun. But they're like you play them for like 5 minutes and then you move on. You're not gonna sit there and play them for like hours or whatever. But they're fun, like trips down memory lane. But yeah, I wouldn't sit there and like play them for extended periods of time.
Could this be a sort of history lesson of a game? Like because there is probably a substantial contingent of gamers alive today who weren't alive when a lot of these, or at least weren't of sentient playing age when these machines were available.
I mean, yes and no, because you're not experiencing them like the optimal way. You know what I mean? Like the optimal way is to be at an actual arcade, and like say here you can see some of the games: Metal Slug, Gauntlet. I would say if you don't have nostalgia, you probably won't get much out of this thing because you are gonna. It's just not the same experience of being with people. Like standing over your shoulder, yelling at you and stuff. It's just it's more like for old people like me who want to remember the arcades and go check it out. Plus, if you don't have the nostalgia, I can't imagine you're gonna put in the time to go seek out ROMs for all these games and stuff too. So
Yeah.
It's true.
that's another part of it.
I remember back when I was little, and back when like arcades were the place to play games that your home console could never quite do. We had this arcade in town called Exhilarama, and Exhilarama was like video arcade in the front, and then like the laser tag arena in the back, and I feel like there was some other game there, but it was like located in the basement of a mall, and it had this like broken down warehouse vibe to it. Like it was all like exposed piping decorations and like neon leaking sludge things going on. It was, man, it sure was the 90s-ist.
So I was basically raised in an arcade. My mom has been the manager of a family entertainment facility kind of place since I was 10, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
So it was in my town. They're not open anymore, so now she works further away, so I never go to the place. But it was arcade, laser tag, roller skating rink, and so that was my first job. I worked there for ever, and when I was a little kid, I just went there and played all the arcade games for free as much as I wanted, rollerbladed as much as I wanted, all that good stuff. So I have probably slightly more nostalgia for arcade machines than your average human being.
Yeah, you're living 10-year-old Rob's dream is what you're doing.
Everyone always said that. Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. But at the same time, it was a pain in the ass because a lot of times after school, I'd have to go there when I didn't want to. But because that's a evening kind of job. So when I was younger, I'd have to go there and hang out at the arcade, which got old after a while. But at first, it was like the coolest thing ever. But even still, it wasn't that bad having, oh no, woe is me, I had to go play free arcade games, right?
Yes, our hearts bleed for you,
yes,
Dave.
it was real rough.
We're hurting, yeah. Speaking of video games in public, Rachel went on a little trip to South by Southwest.
Segway!
Oh man,
Segway!
I'm just riding them to the bank today.
You are on a roll, Rob.
I don't know what kind of video to put up for this, so I'm just gonna let you talk without video in the background.
Okay.
Well, could you suggest a product that you're going to talk about that we should throw up a video of?
You know what? Just for fun, because I think our viewers will be entertained by it, throw up Mortal Kombat X.
There we
Because
go.
as a
Oh, I
funny
saw one of the
story,
fatalities from that. Looked super
yeah.
good.
Oh, that game is
Oh,
horrific.
Oh, you mean awesome?
I feel so strange for being excited for that. But one of the things they had there at South by Southwest, well, I mean, first I have to describe the setup. It's a big convention hall, right? But most of the stuff are just booths where people can show off their products. In this case, there were a lot of Oculus add-ons, but in some cases they had like video game. They had a whole like hall for indie games, but they also had some current games. They had an arcade cabinet for Hotline Miami 2, and they also had a cabinet for MKX. The problem was it was MK9 playing.
Oh, bummer.
That was incredibly disappointing because I saw the cabinet and I was like, oh, Mortal Kombat X, and I was walking around with somebody at the time and I don't even remember who it was, but I just like grabbed them and just ran up like, come on, we're gonna play. And then I saw it was MKX because it had Kratos, and I was like, this is the first time in my life I've ever looked at Kratos and said, no, I don't want it.
I love Kratos.
Not only that, but I somehow managed to reset it to the opening cutscene when I started the game, so it wasn't even an arcade-ready version. I'm still not sure how I managed to do that. I was very disappointed, though, but I turned around, I completely disavowed knowledge. I turned around to the people behind me and went, it's broken, and then just ran off. South by Southwest, everyone. So, the problem with South by Southwest is when you're on the floor, you hear about a lot of things that are supposedly happening around the different festivals. I mean, even the ones you're at, but you never see any of it. Like, I heard a lot about how Meerkat was supposed to be, which, I don't know if we're allowed to mention that on Twitch, but I heard a lot about how that was supposed to be taking over, but I never heard
I don't even know
anything
what
about
that
it.
is.
What is Meerkat?
Is that? I know that's an animal.
It's a live streaming app. So, and here we're talking about non-gaming stuff, which is why I'm gonna move past it. Like I said, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this on Twitch.
Sure, talk about whatever you want. Nobody watches this anyway.
Belied by the 10 people on our viewing stream, but yeah, it was. But mostly, what was there was a lot of third-party Oculus add-ons, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm shameless plug. I'm currently writing an article about this for makeuseof.com, where we work, but. So I don't want to spoil too much about it, but suffice to say, this is my first time trying an Oculus, and I don't know what I was less impressed by, the Oculus itself or the add-ons that people were
talking. So of course, I had a conversation with James about this before we decided to go forward with this article, and James was very quick to pass blame on it being, quote unquote shitty third-party add-ons, and it was the add-ons that made it so you weren't in love with the Oculus, not the device itself.
I mean, I'm not going to say that. I mean, never having experienced an Oculus as it's meant to be experienced, as in, playing a virtual reality game, I can't say. I don't know if it could be, because the ones I tried, there was one where I think I actually broke the Oculus, because, I mean, that's what I was there for. I was there to break it. So I basically started out and said, okay, I'm going to try to break this thing by just swinging my head around as much as possible, tilting, looking back and forth, because you're supposed to be able to do that. And in this case, it was the program I was testing out was something that involved sitting and looking around. So, of course, but somehow by the end of the program, I managed to break the thing by a neutral position was straight ahead. Somehow by the end of it, neutral position had shifted 90 degrees to my left. So, yeah, it was, I don't know how I managed to do that, but, I don't know if it was the Oculus or the programming, but that's the issue here. If you're just experiencing Oculus as is being used, because I never saw an actual Oculus table, but I saw everybody using Oculi. Is
that a word?
Is that the proper plural?
I think she's in for the plural. I think that's solid.
I would say you're better off just going with Rifts. The plural.
Rifts?
Yeah, Oculus Rifts.
Well, we talked about Dragon Age last week, and we had Rifts on that, but...
There you go.
So it seems wrong, but this is... Alright, segue, but...
Well, but I think what you're saying about having a negative experience, I think, really plays out to something we've been saying on this podcast in the last few episodes, which is, if people have a negative first experience with virtual reality, they're going to be more likely to discount all VR products, whether it's the Morpheus, the Oculus, the Vive, the one that Steam's making with HTC.
Well, that's the one I have the most faith in for my monies.
The Vive is the one you have the most?
Yeah, I got faith in Valve, so.
I mean, I suppose, at a certain point, Valve has enough money to throw at this problem that they'll get there eventually, right?
Plus, they've manned up and announced, like, hey, we have a consumer one coming at this date, whereas all the other ones are like, we're going to make this someday. Well, Sony put, like, 2016 as a date, but, Valve just went right out and said...
I'm watching the MKX on Twitch right now and just having a good time getting distracted.
Totally relevant to what we're talking about. There's people getting murdered on stream all day.
It's more fun than watching a video about the Oculus, I think.
There was that one time I put up like a 10-minute video of just people falling over and like throwing up using the Oculus. That was pretty enjoyable.
I did get like full. I think my whole body still aches from one of the devices I tried, which was something like a virtual reality ring, and I'll talk about this more in the article.
Oh, is that the Omni treadmill?
No, that was the Nod ring, and I tried it, and it was so me being me, I tried it. It was a shooting thing, so I tried it with my hand out and my wrist supported, with my finger pointed out. Like I was really going for it. After 2 minutes, my whole body's like, nope. Just the problem is you can't get out of that position once you're in it. But even when you're not, a lot of using the Oculus involves moving like you're a mannequin basically or a robot.
Yeah,
there's lots of you can't move your limbs, you can't clench your hands at all. So.
That's one of the things that I feel like is a hurdle for VR. It's that, like all the people who are kind of fans of harder core fans of video games, like we're all used to being like action heroes or fantasy heroes or sci-fi explorers or whatever. And yet many of us don't have the like athletic, potency to actually like maintain a lot of these things for long periods of time. And I suppose we could get there, there's something to be said for practice. But at the beginning, it's going to be a negative experience because we're not all like flexible and used to engaging all that for long periods of time necessarily. At least the hardest core crowd.
Well, and a lot of the stuff they ask you to do with because I didn't get to try it, but I was watching people because the line was almost out the door when I was there. But I saw a booth for 6 Sense, the add-on, which the one James was talking about where you get to have lightsabers. Or when you're in there that's the demo, is it shows you wielding a lightsaber and fending off droids and all that. But, it looks cool when you're in game. When you're out of game, it looks kind of uncomfortable because you're like moving your hands back and forth. You look like you're shadow boxing.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll look forward to that. You said that's coming up on Make Use of soon. You talked about Oculus Rift accessories.
Yes, Oculus Rift add-ons, accessories, whatever we want to call them.
Okay. Awesome sauce. Well, and anything else from South by Southwest that you want to hit?
There was surprising emphasis on board games and card games, which I thought was cool.
Oh, nice! Like
they had a whole huge central area where people were playing Magic the Gathering and Settlers of I've never known how to pronounce that. Catan.
Yeah.
And
fine.
I mean, the event. I don't want to diss South by too much. I didn't think the event was managed very well. But I also saw a cosplay competition. But, that's not necessarily gaming related. But there was an awesome Halo Spartan there.
Did you enter the costume? I thought you were like a Laura Crofter.
It's pronounced Laura, and yes, I am, but no.
Your face is pronounced Laura. I don't like that I know it's pronounced that way, but I refuse. I've always pronounced it Laura anyway.
Children, as moderating hosts, let's dial it back.
Okay. South by was interesting, but kind of exhausting from trying out all the Oculus stuff. So.
Oh yeah, and cons in general, just certain amount of intensity involved in those. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and just pop onto the news here and keep this moving along. And maybe if we keep things moving, we might be able to do a little like chat Q&A post news if we're still under the 90-minute mark. But yeah, so Dave, who's been playing Cities Skylines, is probably happy to hear that it's been successful at market.
Yeah, 500,000 copies for a game that was made with like 13 people. or something like that. Whereas like it is infinitely better than SimCity 2013 and was made with like 1/100th of the team probably. So it just goes to show you don't need a giant team to make a good game and to have that good game sell, and it shows you can actually still sell a game on PC.
Yeah.
Everybody says piracy is killing the PC and stuff like that, but at least
The one-
500,000 people didn't pirate it.
The one casual statistic I keep hearing thrown around for Steam is 20% of the games are 80% of the sales. That like the vast majority of games don't. Steam is not a gold rush. It's not like the thing where everybody runs out there and whatever you put on it, people are buying. That only 20% of the games are making most of the money.
Well, that's not surprising. I'm sure that's like anything. I'm sure 20% of the books generate 80% of the books sold revenue
That's true.
too. You know what I mean? Like, just because you make something doesn't mean people want it.
Mm. But I think also what cities had going for it was the whole drought. Like there was a city builder drought, and after multiple disappointments between Cities XXL and SimCity 2013, at least in the popular press and by most accounts, people were really hungry, and so even just a basic competent product was gonna see a lot of press.
And this was all word of mouth too. I mean, there's no commercials during The Walking Dead or whatever for Cities. I mean, this was pure like just people saying, "Hey, this game's good," and then it just spreading around the internets. So that's always good to see.
Yeah.
You don't need to spend double your development budget on marketing to have your game be successful.
No, you just got to appeal to the YouTubers and the Twitch streamers.
That's true. Yeah, they handed out copies a week in advance to a lot of people who were just the high volume Twitch streamers and the high volume YouTubers, and they let that take care of all their press. Like that's got to be the cheapest, most.
But that's also
marketing I've ever
confidence.
seen.
That's confidence
Right.
too. You're not just running some pre-canned trailer that you have absolute control of. You're running.
You're just putting it out in the wild,
letting people play it, and well, the game's good enough to speak for itself, and it won't. You don't need to control the message so fully like some games do, like the Ubisofts of the world,
Mm-hmm. And there's also something to be said for what they did, which was basically, what if we just made the video game you guys keep saying you want? Like there was all this feedback that came out of the SimCity 2013 fiasco of, we want bigger city tiles, we want, I don't even remember what the whole, we want to be able to be always offline without any trouble. We don't want to be checking in for DRM all the time. We don't want this, forced multiplayer aspect. And there's something to really be said for like, well, let's make these people put their money where their mouth is. Let's make the game they say they want and see if it works. And it did. So, that's the market working. It's really exciting to see, a company say, with 13 people, we can give you exactly the thing you asked for, and it sells, and we get rewarded.
Now, on the other side, if they didn't have 13 people, they probably wouldn't be that successful at 500,000 units.
That's true. You'd have more people.
They're paying the salary for 100 developers compared to 13. Suddenly, that 500,000 at $30 too. I mean, it's not a full price game. Probably not super profitable. So,
well, what does it say about the games industry as a whole that good game makes money is news?
It's true.
That is sad commentary.
That is a whole nother issue. So,
absolutely. Star Citizen. So Star Citizen, which has brought in more money in funding than India's latest actual space launch. I believe that was another headline that I saw recently. But what's the latest news about Star Citizen?
So I guess in their forums they've said that the game is going to be about 100 gigabytes in installation size.
Okay, we need a point of comparison. I assume everyone who watches this is familiar with tech, but just for fun, let's have a point of comparison. How big is this compared to, say, Grand Theft Auto 5?
Well, I don't know GTA size, but WoW is about 20-something gigs, and WoW is pretty big. So
here we go. The Sims 3, with every expansion and every stuff pack, which I did have all installed at one time. So the Sims 3 with like 10 expansions and 10 stuff packs-ish was 66 gigabytes. So we're still talking bigger than that.
And Dota 2 is 24 gigs. And that's a pretty big game with like 100 and something characters and all the the stuff you have to have the stuff they sell you on the store. Every single piece of clothing has to be downloaded so you can see other players with it. So
And one more, Final Fantasy 13, the PC version, which has both the English and Japanese voices in it, that clocked in at load Steam. What was it? It was something enormous and obnoxious. Scrolling. That clocked in at 60 gigs. So Final Fantasy 13 with both English and Japanese voices as part of the package.
And that's like a 100-hour game, something.
Yeah,
More than that?
40 hour PS3 grade JRPG.
So 100 gigs pretty big. It's like double most games. I mean, City Skylines we were just talking about is 3 gigs. So it's 33 City Skylines is combined together to make Star Citizen. So a lot of people, like, I have an SSD on my gaming PC, and it is a 200 and 200 whatever size that would be in the 200 range, or actually I think it's 320. So that would fill up a third of my SSD. That one game. That's a lot.
Well,
that is, and it speaks to the level of ambition they have for it. Like the question is not going to be whether or not the game was ambitious. The question is going to be, after all the ambition, is it actually fun? You know, like that's going to be the trick.
Yeah,
hopefully
I hope it's great, because a lot of people spend a lot of money. Not them, not the developers. They didn't spend shit, but a lot of regular people spent a lot of money to make this game. So I really hope it lives up to everybody's expectations.
Hoping the fun
how many
to
people are going to be
ratio.
able to play it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I hope the fun to gigabyte ratio is pretty solid. But yeah, so because the system specs are pretty high, yeah.
Yeah. From what I'm seeing.
I'm sure that people who are spending money in advance know they can handle it. I would presume that you would do the research before you went out, especially if you're buying one of those like $1,000 ships or whatever.
Well, and that brings up another interesting point. What you said, Rachel, is that, you know, like, it's one of those things where it's like they don't necessarily have to worry as much about how many copies it will sell, because all these people are funding it before they've even touched it. You know, like they still get to pay all their artists and programmers and producers and all the people involved making this huge game, because they've gotten all this money through crowdfunding and the promise of all this ambition in advance. So it almost doesn't matter whether it's successful or not, because all the people involved are kind of already paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's a weird thing. It literally doesn't matter whether this game succeeds or fails, because they've already got your check. You know.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with crowdfunding.
Yeah, the scary future that we're in.
Or a good future, because games that wouldn't be made can be made.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's all about how you use it, as far as crowdfunding goes.
Faux show.
Yeah.
So do you guys think Star Citizen is going to be good? I mean, just plumbing for an opinion here.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, big space sandboxes in general are fun. Like it just, what matters a lot is how much freedom they actually give you. Like what we need is tools that get a lot of leeway in how you apply them. You know, like it's one of my favorite examples of a sandbox with great broadly applicable tools is Just Cause 2. I don't know. Have both of you played that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just Cause 2, the great thing about that is you open up more and more guns, cars, planes, etc. And then any mission you drop into, you can call down the black market shopper, and literally you can bring any one of those tools into the mission and apply it however you want. Like the game is not about trying to, funnel you through a specific way to solve the mission. It's, here's this big dumb physics experience. Here are all the tools you've earned. Solve the problem. And it applauds you however you go about it, however cheaply or, with however much complexity you solve it. If you solve it, the game says, thumbs up, let's move on. And that's, I think, what Star Citizen needs to be, is it needs to say, here are all these things, but not only that, you can make them interact in interesting ways, and we don't funnel you through a way we think the experience should go. You get to be free in space. So, cautiously optimistic, I mean, with the amount of money they've got, it's not a matter of not having the funding to get the features going. It's a matter of execution. So
this is a genre I don't care about, so I will have nothing to nothing to play this. I have no interest in it, but I will interestly watch. It's like Eve. I will watch it from the outside.
Yeah.
And
I'll give it a go. I'm sure.
Pimp My Wiki in the chat points out that you shouldn't fill up your SSDs, and that's a good point. That extends their life, keeps them healthy longer. So don't just put Star Citizen on your hard drive when you get it, and then you'll be much happier. So
yeah,
that's a good tip for everybody.
We interrupt the show for a message.
Like that. Oh, sorry. It's like, what message? Go on. You were like, oh, it's the thing before. I was super confused.
Get with the times, Rob.
Oh, hosting, right?
Yep.
Microsoft and 2K making an Xbox and PC exclusive Joe Montana Football 2016.
I guess that's the rumor that we've been hearing. That I don't know how they work that out though, because it isn't there like exclusive with EA for. How's this gonna work?
NFL license, yeah.
Well, because there's two different licenses though. There's like the team's license and the Players Association license. So
they can actually. Okay, here we go. According to the article here that we have, the specific wording, I guess, is they're banned. They can't do NFL games unless they're first-party releases. So that's why Microsoft is working with 2K, because that makes it a first-party release.
Fascinating.
Huh. So yeah, I guess this is still rumor phase. So,
hey, you know what the football games market could use? Any competition at all.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, something needs to come in and slap Madden around and make them work harder. So, I'm for it.
Yeah.
This is being built on the Unreal Engine?
Yeah, I guess Unreal 4. Mm-hmm. So, the games are finally starting to come on Unreal, because it seemed like Unreal was not blowing up at first, but now people actually seem like they're using it. So it'll be interesting to see if it does anything to Madden's market, because obviously Madden is super mega dominant. So it'll be interesting to see if this does anything to its market share at all. But
it would need to be functional, I think.
Well,
and it
2K,
would be considered a good contender.
Arguably before Madden locked down the exclusive license, the NFL 2K games were actually getting to be better than Madden, and that's I think why EA said, Here's a shit ton of money. Just don't let them do it anymore. This is ours. And then they were able to just keep their market share held down. But the 2K knows how to make a good football game and a good sports game in general. So
I'm not even a big sports guy, but I remember playing the 2K football game on Dreamcast back in the day.
Everybody loved that game.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Faux show. That's my word of the day today. Is faux show.
That's what Dave, chat says.
You're the big Rock Band nutter here. So Rock Band instruments won't have new features, and will it? So we're making a new Rock Band, but all your last instruments will carry over.
They have not. They're trying to make that happen. They're trying to make your stuff carry over, but either way, the new instruments will not have features that prevent the old instruments from being relevant. So they're basically saying that they're going to kind of remake and update the existing stuff, but the design of the guitar will look like the Stratocaster. They didn't really say about the drums, if they're going to look similar. There will not be the keytar, so they're not doing the guitar anymore, or the keyboard anymore. That didn't really catch on. It'll just be the guitar, bass, drums, and vocals, like the classic Rock Band 2 formula. And really, that's all everybody played in Rock Band 3 anyway. I never even bought the keyboard thing. So that's cool. I guess I was kind of hoping for some cool new drum stuff, but at the same time, I guess if I could use my old drums, that would save me some money. But I'll probably buy the new ones anyway. Who am I kidding? So,
I mean, I think they kind of have to be cautious with this, right? Because people threw a lot of money at plastic instruments. It would be nice to be able to get some mileage out of those again, and it would be a goodwill gesture,
Yeah, I'm not cautiously optimistic. I am fully optimistic, ready to go, dive in head first. Just if I dive in and that pool is frozen, like that funny GIF on the internet, then my neck breaks. It happens. I'll live.
Rachel, do you have some Rock Band instruments hiding around the house somewhere?
No, I was actually I started out Guitar Hero.
Well, yeah, Guitar Hero is fine. I actually. Here's the dirty little secret about me, the big Rock Band fan, is that I use all Guitar Hero peripherals to play. Even the drums. I use Guitar Hero peripherals to play the Rock Band game. The Rock Band drums, I would break those bass pedals all the time. And Guitar Hero bass pedal is much sturdier. So And so I just take off because the Guitar Hero did 3 and then 2, so I just take off the extra one and then it's like 1 and then kind of offset. So it actually makes it feel more like you're hitting a cymbal. So I use Guitar Hero peripherals, but I like the game better for Rock Band.
Did either of you ever try Frets on Fire?
Yeah. Frets on Fire is
Rachel,
cool.
no. Frets on
No.
Fire was like the free one that you could play with your keyboard. So I think like F1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were your frets, and then spacebar was your strum.
You could hook
And
a
so you
guitar
hold
up to it too.
Okay, you can. Okay, because I remember that literally the day I played Frets on Fire, I went out and bought Rock Band, or I went out and bought Guitar Hero rather, because Frets on Fire sold me the idea of pretending to play music on a video game. Like it was literally, I played maybe 3 songs in Frets on Fire, and I went to Best Buy that very evening because it like the concept worked, you know. But Frets on Fire is still floating around there out there on the internet somewhere. If any of you are looking for a music playing experience, and if you don't have the plastic guitar, like I said, you hold the keyboard like a guitar, and somehow it still feels reasonable.
Well, there's like a DDR game like that too. What's it called?
Osu?
Step Mania.
Okay. Osu's that weird rhythm game where you like draw the shapes on your screen or something.
Step Mania is like pirated DDR basically. You just go download songs and play whatever you want in it, and you could hook up a dance pad to it, or you could do whatever. But we skipped a story, and that's that Uncharted is pushed back to spring 2016.
Oh, yeah.
So all of you Uncharted fans out there have to wait a little longer. I told Jess that. She is, Jess, my girlfriend, obsessed with Uncharted and Tomb Raider. She apparently just likes digging around ancient stuff, and she was very sad because she got a PS4 for Christmas, and she's like, what the fuck am I going to do with this thing now?
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel sorry for the people who bought a PS4 saying, oh, now we can have an Uncharted game to play on it. This is going to be our game for the PS4. And nope, sorry, we're going to keep it away from you.
The PS4 gets turned on once a month. I turn it on, go download whatever's free on PlayStation Plus, and then we turn it off. And that's how we use our PlayStation 4.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it's a sad. I played the DC Injustice Gods Among Us for a little bit on it. That's the only game that's been played on it so far. So she was really excited for that Uncharted, and now it's pushed back, and I'm sure a lot of other people are sad. But I'd rather them push it back and make the game good than put it out and make it shitty. So
that's what everyone's been saying about Grand Theft Auto 5, which keeps getting pushed back and pushed back, and yet
PC version.
The PC version, yeah. And yet even I can hear people saying, I've even heard people say when it gets pushed back again, they're just like, I don't want it to be good that badly.
I just don't understand, what are they doing? The game was like, they're making a new game. The GTA 5, it's done. The game is done. You're just making it look better and run better on a PC. I don't understand what's taking so long.
I would not be stunned if there is some hidden limited console exclusivity clause going on. Like, let me pitch a situation for you. Avid GTA fan buys a copy of GTA 5 when it comes out on PS3, Xbox 360, a second copy when it comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and then finally when it comes to PC. Like, they're probably getting some number of their fan base to buy that game 3 times. Just by staggering it upward in quality across different platforms. I would not be stunned at all.
They got some pretty hardcore fans.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put these up here just for the sake of posterity.
Oh, snap. We have one among us.
Yeah, since you brought it up, you're making it sound like it's just, a scenario.
And if these monsters want to pay for a video game 3 times, they're just, no. Anyway.
I haven't paid for it 3 times yet, just twice.
Have you played the online heists yet? Since you're such a hardcore, I know they were like broken and shit, but
oh no, I haven't played the heist yet. No, and I'm not actually a hardcore. I just keep thinking that what are they? Yeah, like you said, what are they doing to the PC version that requires so much polish and sheen?
I'm sure it's going to be the best PC game ever, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to buy it again. I really like GTA 5, but I didn't.
I'm not gonna buy it again. I think I'm good with my 2.
Yeah, the online didn't do it for me, and that would be the main thing that would make me want to go through it again. I mean, I've already seen the story, and I know what happens. I don't really need to do that again. And with the online not grabbing me, I don't see any reason to give them more of my money. Especially because I still have my think I have it. Actually, maybe I loaned it to
I
somebody.
mean, doesn't Rockstar sort of have a bad history with ports, with PC ports?
Yeah, I think that's why they're taking so long, though.
That's
But it's
probably,
also,
yeah.
and it's also, in their defense, it's also probably gotten easier for them though, since the current generation of consoles now is very similar to PCs, so that they don't have to work as hard and jump through as many hoops to go Xbox One, PS4, PC.
Mm-hmm.
Like the framework is, back on the PS3 when we had like the Sony exclusive Cell processor, and it was this nightmare to port things over. That was a different story. But I think we're going to see better ports in general. I mean, we have seen better ports in general. But I think going into the future with the PS4 and Xbox One being as PC-like as they are, we've got a good situation.
So the only I take back my previous statement somewhat. The only thing that could bring me back to GTA 5 again, and it's completely out of Rockstar's control, is if the mods for it end up being awesome on PC, and people do some really cool shit with mods. I may be convinced to go buy it and play some cool mods. That would be the only thing that would get me back in.
That's
Didn't
true.
we start this talking about Uncharted? Just putting that out.
Yes.
We're following the tangent train.
Well, there wasn't really much to say about Uncharted. It's getting pushed back. That sucks. People are going to be sad.
But what about another little
Dave's
bit of
girlfriend's sad, so.
Yep, she's
That's
very
all.
sad. She's crying.
that's why we're reporting on this.
That's actually why she got a cold. She was so sad that it actually made her
immune system
physically
failed.
sick.
What's this about Nintendo making smartphone games now, Dave?
They partnered with a Japanese company, Dena, D-E-N-A. I don't know, the E is lowercase for some reason. Is that what that is? D-N-A. Ah, that's clever. So apparently they're a big deal in Japan for making games, and the games will not be ports of. They specifically said they won't be ports, so they'll be new games, which means, like Candy Crush, Mario, or whatever. I'm sure will be coming. It'll all be free to play garbage, and that's gonna suck. But maybe not. I don't know. I have zero faith in the mobile game scene, so I have zero faith in this as well.
Brief side note on this point. If you guys don't have enough free to play garbage in your life, have either of you played Pokemon Shuffle on your 3DS?
No, but they keep telling me to download it.
Oh, I know, right? Pokemon Shuffle is a match 3 puzzle game that they're providing for free through the eShop. But it's the same like time-based energy system and microtransactions and hey, buy gems to play more than this. The energy system is heinous. You can play 5 puzzles, and then every point of puzzle recharge, you can hold a maximum of 5 of those at a time, and it's 30 minutes per point. So literally, if you want to play 5 more puzzles, you have to wait 2.5 hours. It's gross. It's really gross, and it's like playing through the puzzles lets you catch Pokemon, which then make your matches do more damage if the elements are correct. But some Pokemon have these obnoxiously low catch rates, and they're like, buy a Great Ball to raise the catch rate for 2,500 gold pieces or whatever, and it's all microtransaction nonsense. It's so bad. You can go in there and check it out if you want to be terribly offended at what Nintendo's become.
So they're already off to a very bad start.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to keep doing more of that stuff. So great.
Because y'all filthy casuals keep handing over your money. Demand better.
Yeah. So that sucks.
Enough about filthy casuals. Okay, the big news, which I teased earlier in the podcast with a brief mention.
You teased.
That was a tease. That was a
if you
tease
meant to do it.
keep you
the
to
worst
keep you guys
tease
on the
ever.
hook. So this is the first time hearing of it because Dave, I believe, is our adamant newsman digging up the headlines. Dave, Nintendo's working on a new console.
I mean, as if this is any surprise, right? I mean, obviously they're working on a new console. The Wii U is not great, not great sales and stuff wise. It's a fine system, technically speaking, and stuff. But so after they announced this mobile thing, Mr. Iwata gave a little brief speech saying like, hey, just so you know, like we aren't giving up on traditional game consoles. In fact, we're still working on a dedicated video game system with the code name NX. Maybe short for like next. I don't know. I remember there was rumors a little while ago about a thing called the Fusion, which is personally what I wanted to become real. Was basically, it was supposed to be like a console that merged handheld and home console. So I imagined it being something like the Wii U, but instead of that big gamepad thing, it would be like a actual thing that you could take with you and take your games with you wherever you went. And that sounded pretty cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that never came to fruition, so that was just a rumor. But this is not a rumor. I mean, this is Satoru Iwata saying we are working on a thing and there will be more information about it next year. So there's no rumor here. They are 100% making a new console, which should be a surprise to nobody because, I mean, they are a video game console maker. I'm sure Microsoft and Sony are working on a new console too. You know, it's just they just haven't announced it. But somewhere in one of those companies, there's some engineers working on the Xbox One and PS4 successor. So
What's the how long has the Wii U been out at this point? Because I feel like even for hardcore Nintendo fans, they're stretching the hardware train kind of thin. You know, like how long have people had these Wii U's? Like, is there any merit in trying to rescue the Wii U to?
it's only 2012. It's not. I mean, for a video game console, it's not old.
Yeah. So what are we seeing? Are we seeing a new system in what, a 5-year console cycle? I mean, maybe that's how it should
Actually,
be.
well,
Maybe
5 years that's used to be the norm, right? Before the
Right.
last gen. So
PS3 and Xbox 360, that was almost an 8-year cycle.
that was the abnormality. But I mean, so they said they'll announce more next year, which means it'll either be released at the end of 2016 or in 2017. So that's 5 years. Yeah, I mean that's, I guess, like fairly normal. And the fact that they stretched the Wii U, made it last 5 years, I say is impressive because that thing seemed like it was a failure after 2. So they kind of turned it around.
Yeah, it's starting to show a little bit more life. I mean, with Smash and Mario Kart and Bayonetta, but I mean, it doesn't have a huge wealth of games available. But it was starting to creep up there a little bit.
Do you think so? Do either of you think that Nintendo can continue to survive on this? The first party is the most important thing, and all the third party stuff that comes here is like garbage that we can't port from other systems because our system is so different. Like, do you think the third party thing does a lot of damage to Nintendo as far as being able to put out a console and support it with enough titles, or do you think the first party stuff really is enough?
That's a tough question.
I would say it's enough for the hardcore Nintendo fans. It's not going to attract your standard like run of the mill video gamer that wants to play Call of Duty and stuff. But do they really? I don't even know if they want those people.
Because everything I hear about Nintendo is Nintendo has a huge war chest. They can afford to make mistakes, but for how long?
Yeah, for how long? But this mobile stuff, I mean, I gotta imagine it's going to make them money.
I'm so scared of this. Well, I mean,
but the thing is, here's my take on the mobile stuff. Coming back to that with this is that as long as it doesn't affect the normal stuff, then I don't care. If it gives Nintendo a revenue stream that they can use to put into making more stuff for the 3DS and the new NX or whatever, then I don't really care. You know, like let them do their mobile bullshit. I can just ignore it and not play it, and so can we all.
I mean, I think there's the weird question, or the weird mindset people get into is, oh my gosh, they spent time making this game that is clearly either awful or not for me. What could those developers have been doing in that time instead? And there's this feeling that we've been like robbed of some invisible unmade game at some point. Like that's why people on the internet like flip out and rage when a game comes out and it's like, man, this isn't for me. You know, like it's because in some part of their mind they're thinking of this like magical game that was made for them and their hardcore audience that they're not getting because Nintendo decided to work on a mobile thing. So it's weird. I mean, I'm not super stoked about the idea of Nintendo getting into the mobile market if Pokemon Shuffle is any indication of how aggressive the microtransaction nonsense is going to be, but we'll see, I guess.
Though it sounds like since they partnered with another company, I assume they're going to let that company do a lot of the work.
Oh, so Dina might be doing the design and the kind of...
It doesn't sound super clear how that's working, but the fact that they're partnering with somebody implies that they're not dedicating all their resources to it. They're letting somebody else. It's
licensing, basically.
Yeah, or maybe Nintendo is going to develop them and they're going to market them. I don't know how that's all going to work. And also, that's for that's the Japanese side. How's it going to work over here?
Right, which is a different market with different behaviors.
Yeah, like is that company going to be their partner over here? Are they going to partner with like Rovio over here? Like I mean, or God forbid, the King? Ugh. Mm-hmm. Jesus.
Oh gosh, I just threw up.
Yeah. It hurts. King.
So, question, guys: do we want to like formally call Technophilia a 90-minute podcast, and then just if we finish early, we take questions from the chat? Because we got one on deck that Dave pulled aside and put on the show notes. But then, while we're answering that, people can ask as many questions as we can get through in the next 10 minutes.
I don't care. Sure. James
Okay.
guy
Sounds
won't
good.
like that. He wants to be an hour, but James is a bitch. So
James
Okay.
isn't here.
I mean,
So,
yes,
If you're
that is
if you're
true.
watching in the chat and there's things you'd like us to discuss, this is going to be like quick hits, maybe 2 minutes total for each subject. But while we're talking about our first question, feel free to throw those into the chat. We'll grab them as they seem interesting. Maybe we'll pass the ball around and like let each of us draw a question or something to that effect. But the first question that Dave pulled out of the chat from a little earlier from Dreamseeker, random subject. But is anyone excited for Mirror's Edge 2? Dave, what do you think?
Hell's yeah, son. I like the first Mirror's Edge. It wasn't
Right.
the most fun game on the face of the planet, but it was pretty cool. So I would totally play more. And that game looks awesome. I love the art style of that game. So
Have it
Did you
right
pl-
here.
Did you both play it to completion? Because I didn't play it to completion.
I
Yes.
did not finish it, but I came pretty close to finishing it. And then, as I tend to do, got sidetracked by some other bullshit, probably like Call of Duty or something, some competitive game, and went and played that instead because that's what I do.
The game's so short, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, it was, but I feel
That's
like
both-
it was a good length. I feel like it was enough.
It was enough at the time, but I feel like if they do a sequel, they've got to try to make it a little bit bigger. I mean, I've heard people saying it should be open world. Which
Oh gosh, open world parkour, that'd be.
we got a preview of that with Dying Light, but I didn't really like the parkour in Dying Light precisely because it was kind of inferior to Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge, the longer you run, the more you build up, the more you feel the flow, and the easier it is to traverse the terrain, which kind of wasn't the case in Dying Light. But it could still work. We just
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet. All the trailers have been showing combat, which was not Mirror's Edge's strong point.
Yeah. There was this sense of like gaining momentum and being really in the zone in Mirror's Edge that did work out pretty well. I'll draw a question from this random person who is named Britain. Because he's
I like
from my
how you
chat,
wrote
my
that.
stream, so I know the leet speak that his name is.
That's
Send it from.
awesome.
Have you given SimCity a shot since it got fixed up? I'm drawing this question specifically because I have. I saw the Cities of Tomorrow expansion on sale for $9.99, and I was like, well, I'll buy that and hop back in and give it a try. The bottom line is SimCity 2013, particularly with the Cities of Tomorrow expansion, is dramatically improved from its launch state, but keep in mind that launch state was pretty miserable. Cities of Tomorrow adds three kind of features. Omega Co, if you want to make your city a terrible exploitative industrial nightmare where people are being hypnotized into buying branded content. The Academy, which is kind of your benevolent future science for the sake of humanity sort of thing, where you have to build this array of control net resources, but then you can power futuristic technology with control net. And mega towers, which are kind of like the Arcology Great Work, except they actually sit in your city. And you can build up to 8 of these mega towers in your city with like designated floors for residents and shopping and office and other features. And then those increase the density at which your city functions. And you need to be very careful about what buildings you put around them to serve them if you can't get all the features to serve the citizens into the mega tower. So between those three things, I have enjoyed the experience a little more. I felt it was deeper. But have either of you touched SimCity 2013 since? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I have not played it.
I've never played it. Period. I gave in to the negative stuff, and when it came out, and I just didn't. I never played it, and I never will, because now I have City Skylines. So why would I?
Let's see. I'm looking for more questions.
I put
floating
some in the
chat.
notes.
Oh, okay. The notes. I've been looking at the chat there. Do we want to do that? The one by Pimp My Wiki?
We gotta be quick on that because that could take the whole
Yeah.
time we have left. But
That might
Well,
be. That might be
those are
better.
like 4 questions there.
yeah, but
Right.
we could just say one word answers for each one of the questions. Just boom.
Okay, yeah, let's do like lightning speed, and then maybe we can cover this in more detail in a future episode. Pimp My Wiki said, "I want to know how long you guys have been gaming. What are your favorite games, genres, and platforms, and what game do you want to see remade /HDFI'd?" I'll go ahead and go first, just because I'm talking and I have momentum. I've been gaming since the original NES, which I got when I was 5 years old. My favorite genres, typically in the past, have tended to be JRPGs and role-playing games, but I'm slowly but surely drifting toward stuff that is more immediate gratification kinds of things. I do play a lot of turn-based strategy games, things like Civ and stuff like that. And what game do I want to see remade HDified? I want to see Final Fantasy VII done, of course, but I don't want to see it in the same way that everyone else does it, because Square Enix has said over and over again they can't do it at the level of PS4 at any reasonable expense. But I'd love to see it like done just more artistically. Like they could just take it up a little bit and choose a very evocative art style. I think they could probably find a price point or a development budget point that would make that work. Rachel.
Okay, I've been gaming technically since the SNES days, but I played a lot of adventure games between then and now. So I didn't get into AAA gaming until 2008. But my favorite genre, I love RPGs, but I have to say I go with my pet genre, which is adventure games. And something I'd like to see remade in HD, since we're talking about adventure games, a game called The Longest Journey, which
I've seen that floating around Steam, right?
Yeah, it is, but it's kind of difficult to run on modern PCs a little bit. So from what I've tried playing it, but I thought it was a really good adventure game, very Siberia-like, and I just love adventure games like that, and I want to see it done again.
Very cool. Dave, what you got?
So I've been gaming for as long as I can remember because my mom played video games before me. So when I have memories of being alive, there was a Sega Master System and a NES in my house. So I've been playing those. Favorite games, top two games off the top of my head. Metal Gear Solid 2 and God of War 2 are my two favorite games. And favorite genre is MOBAs, but fuck MOBAs also. Platform is PC. And actually, what I was actually just talking about this in the Make Use of chat the other day. What I would love to see is a Modern Warfare collection where it is all the Call of Duty Modern Warfare games, so Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty 3, all put together with all the DLC in one super mega multiplayer package. That just sounds like something that you could play for like a million years and never get bored with if you think about how many maps are in each of the games and then all the DLC that came with each of the games. And I mean, you could play that thing forever, and that would be super cool. And I feel like with the last couple Call of Duties, the ghosts being garbage and Advanced Warfare was okay, I feel like it's time to go back to the well and just let Activision make a bunch of money off what they already did that was good. So
I don't think Activision would argue with that.
Yeah, well, apparently they would because they're making other bullshit instead.
I guess. Okay, that does bring us close to our 90-minute mark. So to all of you who are in the Twitch chat, thank you guys for watching and listening and all that stuff. You can find each and every one of us on makeuseof.com, where we're all writing about tech and making your life easier through that. We're also all on Twitter. Dave is at Sidox. I'm my full name at Robert Wiesehan, Wiesehan. Rachel can be found at Rachel_knows, KNOWS. Find us in audio form on your favorite podcast provider, and be back here next week, Tuesday.
If you have any further questions, you can find us all on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. By all means, tweet us. We're happy to interact there. See you guys next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another Technophilia podcast. Take care.